India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. The first tenet it stresses upon is the word sovereign. This was the strong resolve towards Ek Bharat, Akhand Bharat, which was made by the makers of India's constitution. But while the world hails India as a Vishwa Guru, while it's hailed as a democracy that has delivered and a critical partner to ensure world peace, today Bharat gets betrayed by one of its own. From foreign soil, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi has attacked the very idea of India. During his lecture in Cambridge, Rahul questions not just India's sovereignty, but even its democracy. He claims that democracy is under danger in India, where opposition, minorities, and even media is under attack. He then reminds that the Constitution calls India a union of states. However, he goes on to compare it with European Union, saying that negotiations are required in a union, like it happens in Europe. Can you really make that parallel? Well, listen in to what Rahul Gandhi said.
We're facing an attack on the basic structure of Indian democracy. In the Constitution, India is described as a union of states, and that union requires a negotiation, requires a conversation. So it's slightly different than other countries. You can think about it much more at the scale of Europe, right? Multiple different states, much bigger than Europe, requiring a conversation and a negotiation to actually move forward. And it's that negotiation that is actually coming under attack and under threat. So preserving and defending Indian democracy is more than just about India. It's actually about defending the democratic structure and the democratic system on the planet. So that's what I described. Capture and control of media and the judiciary, surveillance and intimidation. I myself had Pegasus on my phone. Large number of politicians have Pegasus on my phone, on their phone. I've been called by intelligence officers who tell me, listen, please be careful what you're saying on the phone, because we are sort of recording this stuff. So this is a constant pressure that we feel. And you've also heard of the attack on minorities, the attack on the press. So you get a sense of what is going on.
Well, the BJP, meanwhile, has hit out at the Congress MP that in his quest to malign Prime Minister Modi, he's insulting India, that too from a global stage. Listen in.
भारत को बदनाम करने की आदत बन गई। देश को बदनाम करने की ये साजिश बार-बार जो विदेशी धरती से होती है, कभी विदेशी दोस्तों के माध्यम से होती है, ये अपने आप में प्रश्न चिन्ह खड़ा करता है कि कांग्रेस का एजेंडा क्या है। क्या संवैधानिक संस्थाओं में भी कांग्रेस का विश्वास खत्म हो गया है? क्या भारत के लोकतंत्र पे बार-बार प्रश्न चिन्ह खड़ा करने का काम ये कांग्रेस करती रहेगी?
कैम्ब्रिज गए हुए राहुल गांधी, उन्होंने कहा पेगासस को लेके आए और कहा कि उनके कुछ ऑफिशियल्स ने उनको जिक्र किया कि उनके फोन में पेगासस है। क्या वाकई पेगासस नाम की जो एलिगेशंस आप पे लगता रहा, चूंकि आप बीइंग मिनिस्टर्स हैं, उस पे क्या कहेंगे आप?
वो रिकॉर्ड होता है ना, सुई वहां पे अटक गई उनकी।
बातचीत की प्राइवेसी मेंटेन रहती है क्या?
100%.
I think it's a very sad day when you have somebody like Rahul Gandhi who does not understand the implication of his words. It's not just a deliberate attempt to undermine India. It's a deliberate attempt to undermine India's institutions.
Meanwhile, the Congress and the other opposition leaders have soon jumped into the controversy, trying to defend Rahul Gandhi, saying that he raised genuine concerns of a true opposition leader.
इशू पार्लियामेंट में ओपनली उठा और सभी पार्टी लोकसभा में, राज्यसभा में और दूसरे पार्टी वाले भी उठाए, तो बहुत से लोगों के टेलीफोन भी टैप होते हैं, लेकिन मेरे पास ये प्रूफ नहीं है कि किसका हो रहा, कहाँ हो रहा, कब हो रहा, लेकिन वो बार बार बोलते हैं कि प्रूफ दो। लोगों को मालूम रहता है, लेकिन लोग बोलने के लिए तैयार नहीं होते, तो तब उसका फायदा वो उठाते हैं।
Democracy in India and our constitution is facing a threat, and that is world over. Everyone knows about this. I don't know whether particularly his phone was tapped or no, but everybody knows that today anyone speaking the truth, their voice is being stifled by whatever agencies that are being used.
I support it that it is the right platform to raise such issues, because that is already global. The Pegasus issue has already become a global issue. The very fact that Pegasus can be used by only government. It's the government which has purchased it to use against the opposition.
Well, while Rahul Gandhi has a rather dim view on India's democracy as well as sovereignty, here's what world leaders are saying about India. Let's remind you how Joe Biden, the US president, had said in May last year. He said that India shows that a democracy can deliver. Then in March, earlier this year, you had Australian Minister at Quad saying India is a critical, great power which is crucial for Indo-Pacific. Then you had Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder, who had said that India can become the innovation hub for the world. You had the UNGA president in September last year saying that international community has much to learn from India. Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, had said last year in September that India is a key international player. Then there are several others. Even the Jamaican foreign minister, Kamini Smith, had said that India has always been a reliable partner. But Rahul Gandhi seems to disagree with all these world leaders who have been hailing India. In fact, another thing that Rahul Gandhi had said is that India is a union just like Europe. For this, he cites the Constitution. But Rahul's understanding of the term may be rather selective. In fact, let's tell you what he seems to have forgotten. Sample this. What does the Constitution say? It says, I'm going to quote it here, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens." This is what the first word, as I had mentioned earlier, the first tenet that it lays emphasis on. The makers of the Constitution chose the word sovereignty. Also, you have the fundamental duties under Article 15A, which says it is everyone's duty, every Indian citizen's duty, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, the unity and integrity of India. Let's also remind you what the father of the Indian Constitution, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, as he was called, had also said this during one of the debates which was happening about in the Constitutional Assembly. He was asked directly, why is it that India has been called a union of states? In which his answer was this, I'm going to quote him here, that India's federation was not the result of an agreement by the states to join it. No state has the right to secede. The federation is a union because it is indestructible. The country is divided into different states for the convenience of administration, but the country is one integral whole. Its people live under a single imperium derived from the single source. Well, there you have it. This is the father of the Indian Constitution. Did Rahul Gandhi understand the nuances of his arguments? Well, let me go across to our panelists. Joining us today on the show here on India Upfront, Sanju Verma is joining us, national spokesperson of the BJP. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, is here on the show. Sanjay Jha is joining us, and author, also Professor Monojit Mondal, spokesperson with the TMC. Lokesh Jindal is joining us, a leader of the Congress party. Mr. Jindal, I'm going to come to you first. After all, this is your leader. Because I was just reminding all our viewers and all the Indians out there that Ambedkar had said that the federation is a union because it is indestructible. It all comes from the same genesis, that India and its people are one. Did Rahul Gandhi misunderstand the Constitution and its basic tenet of sovereignty of Ek India when he made those comments in Cambridge?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Rather, I would like to appeal to all our viewers that one must really watch that entire lecture that has been delivered by Rahul Gandhiji in the Cambridge University to understand the exact essence within which he has said whatever statements that have been delivered. Now, coming to the point of the nature of federation that India is. Now, the entire, if you see the entire Constituent Assembly debates and you look at the manner in which India was constituted into a nation, you see that this integration was the outcome of a process. So the manner in which Europe integrated gradually, unification of Germany, unification of Italy, from Holy Roman Empire towards nation states, Europe slowly and steadily evolving into a nation state, ultimately culminating into a European Union. And then it went ahead with some form of a role model to the globe, how to coexist together with diverse religious communities and languages coming together and staying together. Similarly, when I'm talking about India as a nation, it underwent a gradual integration whereby we had princely states, we had linguistic regions, which were slowly and steadily...
But I will have to, because you're drawing this parallel very categorically. B.R. Ambedkar, let's just say our father of a constitution who scripted what India should be looking towards, he himself said that the people in India live under single imperium derived from a single source. That is not the case of Europe, as you well know.
No, see, when you are talking about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's statement that was delivered when the Constituent Assembly was still deliberating upon the constitutional framework. Even prior to that, we had a process which led to integration of princely states and regions forming one union. Whatever statements Dr. Ambedkar gave, it was with respect to the nature of union that was to be constituted by the Constitution. So you cannot, the idea of India as a nation was to evolve gradually and slowly within the framework of this Constitution that was to be framed by the Constituent Assembly.
And that is precisely the way that we want India to progress based on what our Constitution tells us. Till date we follow it, it's not a process. Let me go across to Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, let's take that position from what Congress holds, because at the end of it, even you had Constitution's Article 1, which very clearly says that India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. If Rahul Gandhi today goes to Cambridge and says that, why do you have a grouse against him?
You know, Meghna, before I give my arguments, I just want to say a couple of lines. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. If wishes were horses, beggars would ride. If turnips were watches, I would have one by my side. If turnips were watches, I would have one by my side. Yadi Rahul Gandhi होता बुद्धिमान, यदि राहुल गांधी होता बुद्धिमान, तो बार बार राहुल और उसकी कांग्रेस पार्टी का ना होता इतना घोर अपमान. So let's be very clear that Rahul Gandhi is a man. Each time he is abroad, the narrative is democracy khatre mein hai, and democracy has been under attack as far as Rahul Gandhi and his darbaris are concerned since May 2014, since Prime Minister Narendra Modi took charge. I will categorically and very quickly, without being too verbose, lay down the arguments. A, he said democracy khatre mein hai. So please understand, Mr. Gandhi, democracy was in danger in 1975 under your grandmother Indira Gandhi. Democracy was in danger when Congress Chief Minister in Bihar in 1982, Jagannath Mishra, used to threaten press walas who dared to write anything against Mrs. Gandhi. Democracy was in khatra in 1975 when the Congress Chief Minister Siddharth Shankar Ray in West Bengal threatened physical liquidation of newspaper officers who dared to print anything against Indira. Democracy was in khatra when B.G. Varghese, the editor-in-chief of Hindustan Times, was sacked for daring to write an article against Sanjay Gandhi. Democracy was in khatra when under Jawaharlal Nehru, Majhoo Sultanpuri was arrested for 1 whole year for writing a small couplet against Jawaharlal Nehru. Democracy is fine currently. You don't have to worry. Coming to Pegasus, I just have this to say, Meghna, because Pegasus has been the epic center of the entire narrative that Rahul Gandhi has tried to spin around at Cambridge. I just have this to say. the Supreme Court said, please give the 29 phones which are reportedly hacked to a 3-member Supreme Court committee. Why did Rahul Gandhi not submit his phone? I will tell you one thing, Meghna. There was a famous case that under the Congress P. Chidambaram, the Home Minister was actually spying on the then Finance Minister of the Congress, Pranab Mukherjee. In 2006,
in all fairness, even those charges were not at the time proven. So we don't really know what happened. And much like in the case of Pegasus, because we'll come back to that later, because we also know how the Supreme Court panel also said that the centre had refused to cooperate when that probe was on. We'll come back and discuss more on that. But since you were talking about the different things that Rahul Gandhi over the years have been speaking about, let's not forget this is not the first time that the Congress MP had questioned the idea of Ek Bharat. In fact, last year, during the Cambridge University lecture, Rahul Gandhi had said that India is not a nation, but a union of states, something that he's repeated this time around. Let's remind our viewers how he was fact-checked by an Indian scholar present at the seminar in Cambridge. I'll come back to our panelists, but let's listen in to what had happened last year in Cambridge when Rahul Gandhi repeated the same thing, when he was fact-checked by an Indian student who was there.
Bharat is a union of states. That is the line that is written in our constitution. India is not described as a nation, it is described as a union of states.
You quoted Article 1 of the Constitution saying India, that is Bharat, is a union of states as per the Constitution. But if you turn a page back and look at the preamble, it does mention that India is a nation. Bharat itself is one of the oldest surviving civilizations of the world. And the term finds its origin in the Vedas. So we have a really old civilization. So Chanakya, even Chanakya, when he interacted with the students in Takshashila, he made it clear to them that they might belong to different Mahajanpads, but ultimately they belong to a nation that is Bharat.
Well, Monojit Mondal, there you have it. That was the last time what had happened. And again, Rahul Gandhi's made a statement such as this at a time, and let's look at the timing here. You have India hosting the G20 leaders in India. Then you have the Quad leaders who are currently here in Delhi. They've gone into a huddle. At a time when leaders are saying India's democracy has delivered, why malign India internationally?
No, I'd like to show this video coming very fresh from Tripura. The example of post-poll violence and that BJP style of democracy. Opposition houses are being burned, torched, they are being harassed. And the saddest part of the story is that not a single media coverage. And there lies the problem with Indian democracy. But to articulate that problem, I do not need to go to Cambridge. We'll do it here. We'll run down the government, we'll criticize the government, we'll ask them to toe the line of the people. Democracy is in danger in India, which was definitely proven by the Supreme Court order yesterday. One was one major thumping or slap on the face of the government, where the Supreme Court of India actually expressed their doubt in the judiciousness of the government's appointment in such highest constitutional office was supposed to protect the fabric of Indian democracy by holding free and fair election. But again, to articulate that issue, I do not.
But your party is in power. Was that not a free and fair election when TMC came to power in Bengal?
I did not say that.
Okay.
But within that free and fair election, quote unquote, Mamta Di was banned for no reason. She was banned from campaigning.
No.
And for the same kind of quote unquote election misconduct, the opposition leaders were not done anything. They were not even touched by the election commission. Even in Gujarat very recently, we saw what happened during the election. Forget about that. Come back to the handles of the government or BJP, I should be saying, CBI and ED. How the appointments are done.
That wasn't my question to you, however.
No, I'm talking about
you seem to have digressed. You seem to have digressed a bit.
I'm not digressing. The core issue is democracy and crisis in India.
Okay, you are saying that there is a crisis of democracy in India. Dr. Ranganathan, I'll come to you here.
The core narrative.
Dr. Ranganathan, the opposition now says if we are raising alarm bells that democracy is under threat, sovereignty is under threat, what's wrong? We'll criticize in India and outside India. After all, Prime Minister Modi. Allow me to speak, Professor Mondal, you've had your say. Let me go across to Dr. Ranganathan.
No, madam, 10 seconds. This is also one of the problems that we need to articulate, and we have been. We are not even allowed to make our points inside the TV studio.
You wouldn't have had the time if we hadn't called you, we invited you.
Anchor, I'm not saying that. You are an extremely bipartisan anchor. In fact, most of the media houses are. Nonetheless, we are not even allowed to take our voice to the people properly. We are muddled. Our voices
I think it's very convenient for you to shoot the messenger here. You'd rather evade the entire discussion and shoot me down for asking questions. You may not like the questions that I'm asking, but say, if I don't have answers, you must be bipartisan, and which is why it's the fault of the anchor. It's the simplest trick in the world. Blame the media, shoot the messenger. Dr. Ranganathan, I'm going to come to you here. When you had Prime Minister Modi, when he was not the Prime Minister, he also had said, I am ashamed that I have come from India today. I am ashamed to be born in India. He too had gone and criticized India when he was not in power. Why shouldn't opposition leaders today criticize India? What's wrong in questioning?
Good evening. There is absolutely nothing wrong in questioning. But the fact of the matter is, there is everything wrong in lying about India. That is the thing. And breathing sense into Rahul Gandhi, honestly, is like giving CPR to a dodo. The truth is, Rahul is incapable of defeating Modi because Rahul is incapable of emulating Modi. Let me explain. Let us take 3 heavily anti-incumbent BJP states, all right? 1 large, 1 medium, and 1 small. And see how BJP has fared in the recent elections. Large state, UP, landslide. Medium state, Gujarat, landslide. Small state, Tripura, landslide. Why is this happening? Look at Tripura. In 9 years, BJP vote share increased from 1% to 40%. Why? Because tap water connections increased from 3% to 56% households. Because Ayushman Bharat increased from 1% to 60% families. And look at Congress in these 3 states. Near total wipeout. Modi is delivering on his promises. Rahul is going back on his promises. Like promising the 3 farm reforms and CAA, then promptly doing a U-turn. Now let me expose his rhetoric. Number 1, Rahul bemoans democracy is under threat under Modi. Let me inform this industrial scale liar that the real test for democracy is the independence of 2 institutions. Supreme Court and Election Commission. And under Modi, these 2 are not compromised, whatever their failings may be. Everything else in an Indian democracy is being stifled as much now as it has ever been. Because sadly, there is constitutional approval for it, like for example of freedom of speech. And what stifling of democracy is Rahul talking of when a professor is arrested for sharing a Mamata Devi cartoon in Bengal and acquitted after 11 years? Or when the communist government in Kerala books 120 people for social media posts criticizing CM Vijayan? Or when there exists as many as 275 documented instances of brutal trampling of democracy under the Congress, 87 of those in the last 15 years, including 9,000 activists charged with sedition in a single day. Truth is, Rahul himself subverted democracy by supporting and fanning the illegal Shaheen Bagh and anti-farm bill blockade protests. Truth is, Modi has never unilaterally overturned a Supreme Court verdict like Rajiv, never abused Article 356 like Indira, never passed a press objectionable act like Nehru. Now briefly, just 1 minute, 2. As for his claim that Modi is anti-minority, let me educate this turnip further. Minorities before 2014. 20,000 skill trained, 5% government jobs, 3 crore scholarships.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Mondal, you will reply.
School dropout rate. Minorities after 2014, 2 million skill trained, 10% with government jobs, 5 crore scholarships, free UPSC coaching, 30% girls school dropout rate, while our Muslim population is 14.2%. As many as 31.3% of homes under Awas Yojana, 33% of funds under Kisan Samman Nidhi, and 36% beneficiaries under Mudra Yojana have been Muslim. Just 20 seconds. Housing, skilling, scholarships, government jobs. No other prime minister has comparatively done more for minorities than Modi. Just 10 seconds. Modi is delivering growth. Rahul is delivering anarchy.
I will again be accused of giving you too much time, Dr. Ranganathan. Sanjay Jha has an amused look on his face. Sanjay Jha has an amused look on his face. Would you at least take the limited point that perhaps Congress and TMC should not be the ones talking about democracy? After all, the legacies of Shah Bano, the legacies of emergency come from some of Congress's own history. Sanjay Jha.
Hi, Meghna, I think you need to fix your audio because every 5 seconds it all disappears for 20 seconds and I just hear you intermittently. So I'm assuming you've asked me to comment on Rahul Gandhi's speech at Cambridge. If there is no interruption, I will take just 1 minute to wrap it up. To all the cheerleaders of Mr. Modi, सबसे पहले आपसे एक छोटा सा प्रश्न है भैया, जरा बोले भारत के प्रधानमंत्री को 9 साल हो गए चुनाव जीते हुए, 2 बार जीते हैं, एक बार भी हिम्मत नहीं है प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस करने का। अरे भैया इतना डरपोक का जैसा बनने का कोई जरूरत नहीं है। आप भयभीत क्यों हैं? आपको किस बात का डर है? सच्चाई का डर है, लेकिन सच्चाई का सामना करना पड़ेगा, आज नहीं तो कल सामना करना पड़ेगा। एंड लेट मी टेल यू मेघना, there has been a typo in this G20 promotion that Mr. Modi's government
Let
is
Mr.
doing.
Jha speak. I'll come to you, Sanju.
This is not mother of democracy.
I'll come back to you, Sanju Verma. Let Mr. Jha finish.
It is not mother of democracy, it is murder of democracy. और आपको उदाहरण के तौर पर मैं कुछ कहना चाहूंगा। अब आप देखिए, Indian Express did a survey. ED since 2014 has got 124 cases against politicians. 95% against the opposition. और आज आपने देखा होगा कि कर्नाटका में एक बीजेपी के एमएलए और उनके बेटे ने करोड़ रुपए उनके घर से ऑफिस से निकल रहे हैं। कोई ईडी रेड हुआ है, कोई आईटी रेड हुआ है। तो देखिए ये लोग जो है झूठी एकदम बिल्कुल भारत के प्रजातंत्र के साथ मजाके उड़ा रहे हैं। और एक और बात आपको बताना चाहेंगे, सुप्रीम कोर्ट को ये कहना पड़ता है कि इलेक्शन कमीशन का मजाक मत उड़ाइए, इसका चयन जो है उसी तरीके से होगा जैसे सीबीआई का होगा। भारत का प्रजातंत्र को तो इन्होंने गला घोटी दिया है और अब मोदी जी यहाँ पर G20 से अपना यहाँ प्रमोशन कर रहे हैं। देखिए मेघना जी, द ट्रूथ ऑफ लाइफ इज
Many would ask, but Sanju Verma, he's made a relevant point there. When he says that 95% of the cases, as per the research, 95% of the cases of the Enforcement Directorate are against opposition leaders. What is the conviction rate? It is less than 0.5% for the Enforcement Directorate. It's not selective targeting, and if it is selective targeting, where is democracy then?
Meghna, I could not complete what I was saying last time. I hope you will give me enough time. First and foremost, since Sanjay Jha, has spoken in a शायराना अंदाज, तो मैं इनको शायराना अंदाज में पहले जवाब दे दूं। यहाँ तहजीब भी दिखती है, यहाँ फरमान भी दिखते हैं, यहाँ तहजीब भी दिखती है, यहाँ फरमान भी दिखते हैं। तुम अपना दाम तो बोलो, तुम अपना दाम तो बोलो, यहाँ अरमान भी दिखते हैं। तुम अपना दाम तो बोलो, यहाँ अरमान भी दिखते हैं। Meghna, you did not allow me to heckle him. Can you please do the needful now?
Go ahead, Sanju Verma. Finish your point.
आप लेक्चर दे रही हैं।
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I've been accused from both sides of the ideological boundary of having favored the other ideological side. But look at your screen. You have two of them trying to defend the government. Nanan Ranganathan not really doing that fully also, but 3 of them against the government. I would make a small request. Please do not heckle each other. If we are talking about democracy, let's at least show each other that respect to listen to each other. That's a small request to all our panelists. Go ahead, finish your point, Sanju Verma.
Thank you, Meghna. तो अभी संजय झा जी, without interruption, let me tell you, यहाँ तहजीब भी दिखती है, यहाँ फरमान भी दिखते हैं, यहाँ तहजीब भी दिखती है, यहाँ फरमान भी दिखते हैं। तुम अपना दाम तो बोलो, तुम अपना दाम तो बोलो, यहाँ अरमान भी दिखते हैं। और कांग्रेस पार्टी ने तो भारत की जनता के अरमान को इस तरह कुचल दिया कि पूछिए मत. For more than 5 decades, Congress party was in power. The basic sanitation rate 39%, the financial inclusion rate 43%, electricity coverage rate 46%, road network 41%. Today, be it electricity coverage, be it sanitation, be it financial inclusion, be it the Ujjwala Gas Yojana, the rate of coverage is close to 96%. You added 93,000 kilometers in 50 years. We added 1.23 lakh kilometers in just 8 years. You added 60 airports in 60 years. We added 60 new airports in 8.5 years. You could not build even 1 crore toilets. We built 11 crore toilets under the Swachh Bharat mission. We opened 48 crore Jan Dhan.
One by one.
Issued 13 crore Ayushman cards. We have given free treatment to more than 5 crore Indians. And let me now tell you one most important thing.
Okay.
Meghna
Make your point quickly.
Meghna said, let us talk about proof. And I think she's right. You know, let me not go by rhetoric that P. Chidambaram as Home Minister was spying on Pranab Mukherjee as the Finance Minister. Let me also not speak about Gyani Zail Singh, who was the President.
Speak about Gautam Adani, madam. मैडम जरा गौतम अदानी के बारे में कुछ बोलिएगा.
2018, Christopher Wiley, the whistleblower.
मैडम गौतम अदानी के बारे में कुछ बोलिए.
Testified before the
जरा शायराना हो जाए उसी पर.
Parliament that he was asked by the Congress to.
मैडम जी जरा गौतम अदानी के बारे में कुछ बोलिए ना.
Facebook users their data illegally. Christopher Wiley of Cambridge Analytica.
Since we are talking about data and data theft, one of the things which Rahul Gandhi did speak about, and something that Sanju Verma has also spoken about in the past, let me take that across to Lokesh Jindal. Let's talk about facts. Let's talk about what we know instead of going into the realm of rhetoric here. Lokesh Jindal, a direct question. Rahul Gandhi says there was Pegasus on his phone. Why did he not submit his phone when the Supreme Court panel had asked for everyone who had suspected that they have Pegasus to join in the probe? He should have given in the phone. Very direct question I'm asking you. He should have joined in then.
Why he didn't join it, I think Mr. Gandhi knows it better. I would not be the right person to answer it, since it is his discretion.
Okay. In that case, let me change allow me to change my question, since you said that it's his discretion that he would know. The Supreme Court panel had said that there is no tangible proof which shows that there was Pegasus being misused. There was a clean chit given by the Supreme Court. Even then, Mr. Gandhi uses that issue. Said that there was no credible proof, is what the Supreme Court had said. Lokesh Jindal.
First of all, the myth of Pegasus was not invented by the Congress party. It was first the WhatsApp, and later there was an international agency which exposed this Pegasus issue all over India. And when you are talking about even the 29 phones, out of that the sample phones 5 which were tested by the government, it did accept that there were malwares present in those phones. So you cannot rule out, you cannot give a complete chit to the government that the government is completely free, दूध की धूली है, उन्होंने कुछ नहीं किया. And secondly, the question was unanswered. Why did Rahul Gandhi say that India is a union of states? Let me make that point clear. Now, you know, always the media is claiming that some fool in the audience, he tried to counter Rahul Gandhi, and so
he was an IAS officer who had gone there to study further. He was barely called a fool, I believe. Then
whistleblower in Cambridge Analytica case, Christopher
certify that a person is not a fool. One, I'm telling you, please, madam, do not heckle, please. Act sane.
Let Lokesh Jindal quickly finish his point. Let Lokesh Jindal finish his point. Yes. You wanted to explain about the Union of Nations, because that's something that I'd like to understand what he meant when Rahul Gandhi said what he meant, that India is like Europe. Why?
Look, Meghna, what Rahul Gandhi meant was that India, which comprises of such diverse regions, the idea is the outcome of a dialogue between these regions. When all these regions come together in parliament and they find out one idea of unity, that is India as a nation. And secondly, when I'm talking about Article 1, over here we need to understand the history within which this Article 1 was framed. On the eve of the Constituent Assembly, there were princely states that were being brought into the Union, and they were all coming into the union by handing over their sovereignty. So it was
Meghna,
clearly
can I please come in? I'm also in the debate. I don't know why.
that India as a union is not the outcome of these agreements like that of the United States of America, but it's a union of states which is
very different, very, very different and intrinsically different. Dr. Ranganathan, Dr. Ambedkar, let me go across to Dr. Ranganathan also. Dr. Ranganathan, even Ambedkar, in the Constituent Assembly debate which happened in 1949, he was questioned about how people were divided into several thousands of castes. Be a nation in that light, can Rahul Gandhi's concerns be outrightly dismissed? Because these were concerns, as even Lokesh Jindal was pointing out, were something that the constitution makers, the fathers of the constitution, were also debating and actively discussing.
3 quick points, Meghna. First of all, in the last 35 minutes that I've been on this debate, I have spoken for 2.5 minutes and I've been constantly heckled. I don't know whether your faders are working or not, but it is bad for the viewers and listeners if one is constantly interrupted, besides being bad manner. So please, I request people to not interrupt me. I have not heckled anyone. Yes. Number one, as far as Lokesh Jindal is concerned, I think he will be quite fine with the statement that Congress is a union of people who are suspended, who have lost elections, and who are going to leave Congress and join the BJP. So Congress is also a union. Number two, as far as Sanjay Jha saying that democracy is being subverted and the Supreme Court has given a tight slap to the Election Commission, can I please ask him, when the UPA was in power, now I can't talk like this. I might as well, I don't know why people are interrupting.
It's just Professor Mondal, he feels that he too has been left out. But I guess it's a balanced debate if every speaker feels that they've been left out. But Professor Mondal, please, we'll come to you. Have the patience and listen in to Mr. Ranganathan. Listen in to Dr. Ranganathan, please. Dr. Ranganathan, please go ahead.
Of course. Let him speak.
Can I?
Yeah, this is his.
Professor Mondal की भी turn आएगी. अभी मैं संजय झा से निपट लूं. So the fact is, will he please explain why during the UPA, person like Mr. Naveen Chawla, who was indicted by the Shah Commission for his excesses during the emergency, was made the Chief Election Commissioner. His name was forwarded to the President, using a procedure that the UPA used for 10 years. And now Sanjay Jha is saying that the same procedure that was being used by the BJP was wrong. Supreme Court, in effect, has also slapped the UPA. Number two, as far as this Professor Mondal is concerned, will he please explain? He's also a professor. There is a chemistry professor at Jadavpur University. All his crime was 11 years ago to have forwarded an email that had a cartoon of Mamata Banerjee. He was arrested by TMC.
You who is controlling the show.
And the court convicted him. And court acquitted him after 11 years. Are you not ashamed talking about subversion of democracy? What kind of
you should be ashamed of yourself first that you don't allow others to speak.
What kind of a lapdog are you? What kind of a lapdog are you? To say that there is democracy in Mamata Raj.
Who the hell you are? You can't even reveal your identity.
Meghna, why aren't you asking him this question?
And the party
why aren't you asking him this question?
Identity?
Ask him this question.
Speaks like
why did it take 11 years for the court to acquit that Jadavpur University professor?
Again, we've been reduced to this cacophony. Professor Manojit Mondal, direct questions were asked. If you can answer, please do so. What about the professor after 11 years was acquitted? He was locked up because he dared to question the lady who was in power. Dared to mock her. Is that TMC's version of democracy? That was the question.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I will speak only if you allow me to speak the way you are giving your
And hopefully the rest of the panelists are going to allow you to speak the way you haven't allowed others. You haven't shown others the respect to speak. But now I will again ask the other panelists to show the respect you haven't unfortunately shown to the others, Professor Mondal. But go ahead. We will listen to you. You didn't listen to others, but we will listen to you. Go ahead, Professor.
Yes. That chemistry professor is my good colleague. He was in jail for few hours because of a complaint filed by...
Why was he in jail?
His entire career.
What kind of an idiot you are? What kind of
I
an
would
idiot
request
you
you not to use words like that. Professor Mondal, it's unacceptable. It's one thing to heckle and another one to become personal. Professor Mondal, and here's the problem. Professor Mondal, here's the problem. You can't answer the question that Dr. Ranganathan put. You have now come down to abuses. And that perhaps is the problem. And let me go across to Sanjay Jha, because we can't have these kind of words being used on our show. I'm sorry, these kind of words are unacceptable. Sanjay Jha, when the opposition leaders wouldn't know what to say, perhaps they will jail. What I have been accused of is not listening to him, even though he has spoken and interrupted each and every panelist. And now there are personal insults. Can we rise above that, Sanjay Jha? Can we rise above all of that and have a nuanced debate? You had a word to make about Sanju Verma. Go ahead.
Yeah, Meghna, I just want to make one point. The world is today talking about a big, massive stock market manipulation allegation against the Adani Group and accounting frauds. And you have a prime minister of the country whom everybody knows has a close proximity of this industrialist who does not say a word. I mean, that is a manifestation of a
I have about 10 seconds, Sanju Verma. Why no word on Adani? Congress still wants to know.
Well, can I finish one line? Meghna, please tell her not to interrupt. Can I finish one line? The world is saying, आजकल तेरे मेरे प्यार के चढ़ते हर जबान पर सबको मालूम है और सबको खबर हो गई. And यहाँ पर
Yes, Sanju Verma, please answer. I think you made your point. You made your point, Sanjay Jha. You made your point, Sanjay Jha. Sanju Verma, we don't believe in putting down the faders because that's not how democracy works. But at least show others the decency to listen in.
And
Sanju
Rahul
Verma.
after every election says, "ये क्या हुआ?
Sanju Verma.
अरे कुछ मत पूछो."
Okay, I'll come to you, Dr. Sanju Verma.
Meghna, you know, I want to repeat what Prime Minister Modi said.
We need to wrap this up. Please listen in.
Sanjay Jha, now please keep quiet. We heard you. Prime Minister Modi on the floor of the Lok Sabha said a few weeks back, तुम्हारे पाँव के नीचे जमीन नहीं है. तुम्हारे पाँव के नीचे जमीन नहीं है, लेकिन कमाल तो ये है कि तुम्हें यकीन नहीं है. कमाल तो ये है तुम्हें यकीन नहीं है. You guys have lost one election after another.
आप जब ऐसे बात करती हैं तो हेकलर नंबर 1 आप नहीं.
भाषण to Prime Minister Modi.
A quick word from Dr. Ranganathan, because we want to put some of this politics aside. Let's put this politics aside. Ranganathan, is that one of the problems that perhaps one Modi has really rankled the opposition? Ek Modi sab pe bhari, he likes to say that himself. However, that in an order to try and attack him, that today India gets berated at public forums. International.
No, let's be very honest, Meghna. Every party is hypocritical. Every party. BJP, Congress, TMC. That's the honest truth. The fact is Rahul is hypocritical. People in the government are hypocritical. But that's not. How will India progress? I want a simple answer from Mr. Sanjay Jha. He actually was for the farm reforms. He was. Ask him. I respect him for that. He was for the new pension scheme. Now I ask him, how on earth is he supporting Rahul Gandhi, who did a U-turn on farm reforms and who's done a U-turn on the new pension scheme?
I'll give you 10 seconds if you can answer that direct question, Sanjay Jha. We really must wrap this up. 10 seconds you have.
Yeah. Meghna, let me tell Anand Ranganathan, भैया सरकार में तो मोदी जी बैठे हुए हैं. डरपोक के जैसा U-turn तो मोदी जी ने किया.
I have that much time, and unfortunately you could have used this time to perhaps explain and come clean. You haven't. But thank you so much. Unfortunately, this is one of those debates which could have gone on for several more hours and perhaps with very little resolution to it. But at the end of it, India has been berated internationally. What was the reason behind it? Well, that's for everyone to think and decide. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Let's move on. That's the next big story that we are taking you across to.